Welcome to Take a Side, the sports talk show that lets you, the viewer, choose our winners. As always, be sure to get on sided.co and post your arguments for the chance to stand atop the Sided leaderboard and take home a $25 Amazon gift card. Huge shout out to last week's winner, True Hotel Guru Bob Roush, for another win atop Sided's leaderboard. Will anybody be able to pass Bob this week? We'll have to wait to find out. In the meantime, let's get into our first debate. After a blowout 47-7 loss to number 17 ranked Oklahoma State in their conference home opener, the Kansas Jayhawks are now 0-3 on the year and have a major quarterback battle on their hands. True freshman Jalon Daniels started the game going 3 for 5 passing for only 2 yards before junior Miles Kendrick stepped in. Kendrick finished the game going 11-19 passing with only 90 yards, 0 touchdowns, and an interception. 3 games into the season, there seems to be a clear quarterback battle between Kendrick and Daniels, with senior Thomas McVitie missing Saturday's game with a shoulder injury. The Jayhawks have a bye this week, but will face off against West Virginia and Morgantown on October 17th. I'm joined by Dylan Funk and Max McElroy to debate who KU should start at quarterback for that matchup.
I think this choice is very clear. I think Jalon Daniels is the starter. I think there was a reason that they put him in. They saw, against the opener against Coastal Carolina, you had Miles Kendrick and Thomas McVitie in the quarterback battle, and we kind of saw both had moments of, there was some good and some bad, but it wasn't really enough. And then Jalon Daniels got to start against the Baylor, or at the Baylor game, and even though that was kind of another blowout loss, I think there was a lot more upside that you saw. There was a 65-yard throw that he threw on his back foot in that Baylor game, and he overthrew him a little bit, but just to have that, I think, is just very special. And I think, in a year where the team is, it's not really the greatest, I would say, and they're kind of, rebuilding and kind of reloading some weapons and getting some of Les Miles' recruits in there, I think that this should be the quarterback that we have, because he'll go through the growing pains in the year where we're not good, and then he could be really excellent for the next few years.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. Let's get one thing straight here. I think Jalon Daniels, he is definitely the future for Kansas Jayhawk football. However, I think right now, Miles Kendrick might be the better option. For one, he's been here at KU longer. He might have redshirted last year, but he has been in the system. He kind of has better team chemistry with some of the offensive players. So he's got that going for him. Earlier in the year, the first game against Coastal Carolina, he came in again, stepped up. They put McVitie in and Daniels in. He kind of came in and had the big success, and came in this past weekend against Oklahoma State. We said it already. This year is we're still in the Les Miles rebuild. Not really competing for much this year. We're not going to go on for any championships, I don't believe, unless they pull off a big run here at the end. But I think as far as quarterback right now, I think Miles Kendrick might give him the best chance to compete now, and also give Jalon Daniels the best chance to learn from the sideline and help him grow and develop and get better from here on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Miles Kendrick will. I think he is a great leader, and I actually saw an interview where his teammates were saying that he is a really good leader. I think that when you're at a kind of a place right now where you have an 0-3 team, you're getting blown out in every game. Just put the true freshman there. Make the mistakes. This is the first year that we're actually seeing Les Miles recruits playing, because KU has, I think they played 9 true freshmen on Saturday against Oklahoma State. So it's clearly they know that they need to get some experience, and so I think putting just the true freshman will only help him. I also think that a big thing with Miles Kendrick, or with Jalon Daniels, is he's a dual threat, and he can make plays with his feet. I think Miles Kendrick has a couple design runs, but he has -10 rushing yards on the year. And Jalon Daniels has a little bit more. He can kind of make more plays with his feet. Is a little more elusive, which I think will be very helpful. A really weird thing that I noticed about this year is we still are running a 3 wide receiver set, which means we're throwing first, but we should be running the ball, because I think both of our running backs are great. But
yeah, with Puka and Gardner in the backfield, I think definitely we could be running the ball a little bit more. And when we do throw the ball, it's kind of more of those short screen passes. I'd like to see him, maybe if you're going to throw it, try to take some shots down the field, especially if you have Daniels in there, because he's got the arm too. And you also alluded to it earlier, he's got that run game, so he brings another dimension to that offense. So if you got Daniels in there and he can run the ball, and he can hand it off to any of the running backs, and he can also throw it. But again, he's definitely the future. Right now, I think Kendrick, though, just gives him maybe the best chance to compete and try to win now. But at this point, I'd say it's just whoever's the best performing quarterback should get the job.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I have a problem with them switching throughout the season. Just, I mean, if something's not going right, just putting a different one in for the time being. Yeah, I think the thing that Myles Kendrick has going for him is that he's been with this offense for a full year. Where, I mean, Jalen Daniels got here 2.5 months or 3 months ago at this point now.
It's impressive what he's doing already.
Yeah, I think so, and I think, yeah, like you said, if you want to compete this year, which I assume they would want to. I mean, I don't think they're trying to tank because you can't really do that in college football. But I think that overall, I think just Jalen Daniels, his ability to, I think he, man, just a playmaker. As much as I can say it, there hasn't been a lot of plays being made, but I think he just has more upside, I guess, than Myles.
Yeah.
For the time being. Yeah. Well, we are going to take it to a quick break. Thank you for joining us.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
On the boards out there, guys. This is your territory, Grimson. Do your job.
Grimson. Hello? Hi, honey. What? Now? All right. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain, and the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, sweetheart. Hey, it's my girl. You know, my daughter.
Love. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back. We're 4 weeks into the NFL season, and we've seen plenty of surprises and disappointments. I'm joined by Marina Saver and Matt Manier to talk their biggest surprises and disappointments this NFL season.
I think for me, there are the benefits of having so many teams in the NFL is that there's never going to be one most disappointing, one most surprising. You have a lot of teams to watch for things like that. And so to start off with the team that I think is one of, if not the most disappointing teams in the league right now, I have to go with the Texans. Obviously, Houston lost Deandre Hopkins in the offseason, which is very hard for any team to go without, especially a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, who really they just played catch out there. Like D-Hop was such a weapon for him to have, and so it's going to be hard for Deshaun Watson to get used to going without him. But Deshaun Watson's completion percentage hasn't really changed that much through 4 from this season and based on his season last year. And obviously, I know that there's so much more to a phenomenal wide receiver than just being able to catch the ball. And one thing that makes DeAndre Hopkins so special is his ability to really effectively evade and spin out of coverage because he's such an elite receiver. But you would still expect that a team that is talented, I think the Texans still have a talented team on their hands, and with a top 5 quarterback like Deshaun Watson with the mobility that he has, you wouldn't expect them to be 0-4. And so I think it is obviously disappointing for a Texan fan for so many reasons, given their offseason, given the way that they're playing now. And obviously they just got rid of GM and head coach Bill O'Brien. But yeah, I just think it is a hard time to be a Texans fan. And if you're talking about a team that has been so disappointing, I think the Texans are absolutely, there's no reason why they lost to the Vikings. I'll give them a loss to the Ravens. I'll give them a loss to the Chiefs. They competed with the Steelers a little bit. But, yeah, I just think it's a hard time to be a Texans fan. They are very disappointing this year.
Yeah, I think one thing that hurts them a lot is their schedule started this year.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Chiefs, you have the Vikings, which, I mean, they're 0-3, but they still have lots of talent. And you get the Ravens. It's hard to come back from that, but I think one team that is the most disappointing, and they're honestly disappointed every year, is the Dallas Cowboys. Their defense has just been atrocious this year. They're second to last in opponent rush yards per game, second to last in takeaways, and last in opponents per game. They got some good playmakers. Their offense has been spectacular. With Dak he had 500 yards, I think, last game.
Yeah, he played well.
Yeah, Zeke's been playing good, and Amari Cooper, but their defense is just so bad. I'm not sure. They got good players on that team, but I'm not sure what happened to them. A few years ago, they were one of the top in the league. I think 2018, they had the second best or best opponents per game. So I'm not really sure what happened. They just took a huge fall off.
Yeah, the Cowboys are another one that definitely is, like, I almost can't even argue with you there. Like, they really just have been disappointing, and there's no reason, again, similar to the Texans, that a team with the talent that the Cowboys have is not, and really they should be 0-4. The only reason that they even have a win on the season is because Atlanta is, like, literally allergic to winning right now. So I think that that's played to their benefit. But yeah, just both very disappointing teams, and two teams that you would not expect to start the season 0-4 at all.
Yeah, no, if they should be 0-4 if Falcons knew how to land an onside kick. But yeah. I think one team that surprises is the Chicago Bears. No one really picked them to do good this year. Their quarterback play wasn't side. Mr. Trubisky is not good, neither is Foles. But I think 3-1 this year. They have come back 2 of their games down by 15+, which is amazing. This team shows a lot of resiliency. But the defense has been showing flashes. At the Colts, they only get 1 touchdown, same against the Giants. But they're very inconsistent. I think that needs to get better, and their offense is just still not good. But they're still 3-1, which is still a good record, and they still got a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I almost wouldn't even call the Bears surprising so much as just, like, lucky. Like, there's no reason that they're 3-1 right now. Again, first game of the season, I believe it was Detroit, and Detroit had a two-peat of blowing a fourth quarter lead, which they did last season to Arizona and this season to Chicago. But yeah, the Bears are so surprising because my roommate is a huge Bears fan, and she'll always watch the games, and so I'll watch them with her, and it's just you watch them and, like, there's no way that they are coming back, and then they do it. It's crazy, and yeah, Mitch Trubisky, is not very good. He wasn't very good last season, and I didn't expect that from him. And now that they have Foles in, it's the first full game that Foles played that was their loss on the season, because I think the game that they put him in week 3, he actually played pretty well and helped them win that game. So yeah, the Bears are one that is very surprising for a lot of reasons. And for me, another team that I think has been the most surprising, or one of the most surprising in the league, is Indianapolis. I think for just the purpose of their best player is an offensive lineman, and you don't really expect that to be the recipe for a phenomenal team. That doesn't stand out to me, you know? Like, there are teams that are dealing with Aaron Rodgers and all sorts of these star players, and Indianapolis doesn't really have that. They have a phenomenal O-line, and now a great rookie running back who is able to get some pockets to really generate a lot of rushing yards. So they've been good. Rivers is awesome. Their defense has surprisingly stepped up, considering the fact that going into the season, I would have considered their defense pretty average, pretty middle of the pack. And there's been a couple games week 3, I believe it was, against the Jets, where their defense was playing offense just as much as their offense was. So I think Indianapolis looks really good, and I love watching Phillip Rivers mic'd up on the sidelines, and he's chirping the other teams, and he's super fun to watch, and I love that he's still so fired up and so enthusiastic. And yeah, I think the Colts are just a really fun team to watch, and another one that is surprising to me that they are starting the season 3-1.
Yeah, I think that defense is amazing. I'm a Bears fan, so I was watching the game on Sunday, and I was so frustrated. The Colts just have 9 or 10 guys going to the ball each play.
Yep.
It's really hard for Foles to get anything going. I think it's going to take a few games for him to get going in this offense. But last game was not good. They scored a touchdown, but it was pretty much in garbage time the last 2 minutes. So, I mean, that Colts defense is just amazing. See if they can keep it up, because they haven't played great offenses, to be honest. They played the Jags, played the Jets, and the Bears.
Yeah.
So let's see what they can do against other teams. But that Colts defense has a chance to be very good.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how the 4 of these teams continue to develop. You know, maybe the disappointing teams will finally get some offense and start getting better, and maybe these teams that are surprising will slow down and flatline. You never know. We still have a few games left in the season, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it all unfolds for sure.
I'm excited.
All right, well, we're going to throw it over to a commercial. Thanks for sticking with us.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Now they're beating us on the boards out there, guys. This is your territory, Grimson. Do your job.
Grimson. Hello? Hi, honey. What? Now? All right. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, sweetheart. Hey, it's my girl. You know, my daughter.
Love. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back. For our final debate, we're taking it local. Given these unprecedented times with the coronavirus pandemic, many Lawrence bars have had to close or be restricted in access. But are these closings justified? I'm here with Jerome Sweeney to give his take on whether or not Lawrence should open the bars.
Well, you see, the Lawrence bars have been shut down since June 19th when news broke out of the Hawk being one of the hotspots for COVID over the summer. And since then, we have not seen, bars open to full capacity. But it's not because of them just being shut down on their own. It's due to local restrictions and various laws, such as, all these social distancing, cleanliness orders, groups of large gatherings are prohibited. So it's been a very, very interesting time for, most bars across the country, but in particular the bars right here in Lawrence. So we have three main bars, the Jayhawk Cafe, which was the hotspot for the COVID outbreak according to the media. So they've been shut down and they have not opened at all, and they have no plans to reopen in the future or in the near future. Bullwinkle's, however, has been shut down, but they have recently opened up to this to-go drink carry-out special where you can get drinks to go. And then the Wheel is just open for, I think, 40% capacity, so about 40 people can be in there. So it's been a very challenging time for all these bars to reopen, because the industry average for restaurants and bars, the industry has taken over a 20% hit since May or April. So they are reaching a very dangerous point for restaurants and bars. They're almost at the point where they're almost out of money to reopen. So it makes no sense for them to reopen in these times with all the restrictions based on the revenue loss that they got to pay their employees, you got to pay for supplies and product, and then you got to sell your product at 15% of what your previous business was. And it's leading into a lot of insurance lawsuits where most restaurant and bar insurance policies don't actually cover pandemics. They only cover physical damage to the bars. So a lot of these bars are not getting any insurance money from their insurance providers, and it is making a very strong case for these bars to just shut down for good and just reopen whenever the pandemic's done, if they can, or if not. I mean, in Lawrence, I think there's been 2,100 positive cases, and of those positive cases, I think there's been 13 fatalities, which is a less than 0.01 rate, which is, I mean, it's very good, but I think the KU student rate as of last week was about 3.2% or something like that of about the 1,000 people that were tested in the last week. So it's the students. I think reopening the bars is going to come down to the students and their responsibilities. If they have symptoms, they should stay home because if they go to the bars when they reopen, it's only going to make it way harder. So it's a two-way street for reopening the bars. It's got to be the patrons that go spend time at the bars, and then it's got to be a lot of it's got to be on the bars. They got to be maintaining all these social distancing. You got to be cleanliness, which is hard to do in a college bar for sure. But it's going to be very strict for a while. But in the next 5 years or so, it's going to be hard for them to come back because they've already been in the hole for the last 6 months, and the industry is just tanking massively.
Well, Jerome, obviously this pandemic has had a terrible impact on businesses across the country and specifically in Lawrence. But what's to say that reopening the bars isn't going to result in more cases and really worse long-term implications for these bars than staying closed from a financial perspective?
Well, I mean, you look at that from, KU allowing students to come back to college also, as, you had an idea that, bringing students back, like we saw in those house parties a few weeks ago, where, people are going to want to get together. It's basically about them going and getting together in a public place versus people going and getting together in, a private, house party where, you spread COVID more rapidly than a bar where there's capacity of 40 people. There's no social distancing going on at house parties, whereas in bars you can be forced to do social distancing. You can control the crowd. So I think it's really it's kind of an interesting argument for sure because KU brought all these students back, and they've they're not the reason why the bars are closed, but they're definitely a main hovering factor because all these bars don't want to open and become the hotspot of the next COVID outbreak, because that'll lead to just repercussions and more restrictions on the individual bars. But at the same time, these house parties are just throwing house parties for hundreds of kids, and there's just no repercussions at all besides these new ordinances where you get a slap on the wrist if you get caught throwing a party. So it's definitely a two-way street for sure. But I think it is, I think it's more on the university because they have countless, social gatherings of, 100+ people going on, daily in private houses.
Well, obviously the university holds some responsibility, but do you think that these bars have a responsibility for public safety, for making sure that this virus doesn't spread by staying closed, or do they have no responsibility at all and they can stay open and it really comes down to the university because students are back?
Well, I think it's you can be responsible while being open. It's like I said before, it's it's a lot on the restaurant or the bars and restaurants even to stay, to be cleaning, wiping your surfaces down, maintaining social distancing, sanitizing materials and shakers and whatnot. But it's definitely, it would be very irresponsible for bars to open to full capacity right now and just not practice social distancing and not follow all of the guidelines that the Douglas County CDC has put in place. But they've set up guidelines where all businesses can be open serving liquor until 11 p.m., which is which means bars can be open until 11 p.m. but they just have to close and stop selling liquor at 11 p.m. So that means they can be open with social distancing in place and proper cleanliness protocols. So if those bars have all of those in place, there's nothing stopping them from opening up, which we are seeing, bars are still trying to figure out how to practice those protocols. and whatnot. But I think once they figure that out, they're just going to start opening because, like I said, it's a business, and they're losing money being shut down.
Well, we know where Jerome stands on this issue, but we want to hear what you have to say. So get on Sided.co, post your argument, climb up that leaderboard. That's all the time that we have for today. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram @TakeAsideKU. For all of us here at Take A Side, I'm Jacob Polacheck, and we'll see you next week.